Well, as Washington ponders why the global south isn't towing its geopolitical line, here's perhaps one reason why. The South African president has taken aim at international structures which hold back the continent from being an equal partner. Cyril Ramaphosa's comments came in response to Washington's proposal to offer 2 permanent seats at the UN Security Council to Africa, but without any veto power.
Not having a continent of 1.3 billion people represented on the Security Council diminishes the role of the United Nations. We cannot have a second-class participation as Africa on the UN Security Council. We demand and require that we should have serious participation.
Okay, let's break this down. This week, the United States announced it will support adding 2 new permanent seats for African countries and a first-ever non-permanent seat for a, quote, small island developing nation. But the American envoy to the UN failed to back the prospective new members holding a veto, saying Washington believes that right could make the Security Council's work dysfunctional.
We don't want to give up our veto power, and we do think if we expand that veto power across the board, it will make the council more dysfunctional. We have indicated that we support 2 permanent seats for Africa. How that plays out on the African continent will be up to the Africans to determine.
So the Africans will determine who those permanent members are?
They're going to run and have to be voted on by 193 members, but who are their candidates for this? They'll decide that themselves.
Because
it's not for me to tell the Africans,
right,
you need to take South Africa, or you need to take Egypt, or you need to take Kenya. They will determine who will run for their seats.
Well, the US proposal sparked debate among African leaders, with the Rwandan president offering his insight on which the continent's 54 countries, which of them could sit at the council.
1 permanent seat would have to be held by the African Union Commission, and 2nd seat by an African country on rotational basis, not held by any single country permanently.
Well, we discussed the proposed move with a panel of guests who say giving only 2 seats to such a big, diverse continent already places Africa in a difficult position.
Well, I think that is going to be a very big fight. Who gets a permanent seat? Africa is Africa is a continent which is very diverse. The best option here is to have 1 seat going to the African Union and the other one rotating as per regional bodies. It's going to be very difficult. If this is adopted, I think it will be a very difficult decision to take, because I don't think there's any African country that dominates another. Maybe we can use a criteria of the country with the largest GDP, for example, in Africa. Maybe that can work. But I think a permanent seat for the African Union and the rotating seats based on a particular region would be the best model.
I think they are taking a very careful approach, and that is why Africans need to come as one to be able to support any country that has the capacity to stand in and discuss on behalf of Africa. Countries like my country, Nigeria, have such capacity because Nigeria is like a mini Africa. We are all youngest demography, largest economy, and so on. So we need a country that will actually stand up to negotiate deeper, higher, and tougher in the interest of Africa. I know the whole thing is we don't want to give you veto because we do not want you to interfere into some of the activities we will do that could be detrimental to your interests. That could be the reason in court. But then, why don't we also have a country that will be able to stand up and say, no, we disagree, we will push it this way. So the reason why is all because of trying to control and still position themselves and maintain a global power, while again granting a half-measure admission into the United Nations Security Council.
This is an insult to Africa. With all the resources that we have, they are giving us seats without power. They just want us to be there like pictures on the seats. We don't have authority. They want to give us seats in the UN Security Council without a veto. What is the meaning of all this? And I know if not that some Africans are kicking against it, some other Africans will accept it just because they will give them aid and just because they want to answer the name that they are among the UN Security Council. This is a big sea finish to Africans. They just want to see us as second-class citizens with all the resources and minerals. And what is the meaning of all these Africans? We are over 1 billion people, and these people just take us as if we are one group of people that they can do and say as they want to. We need to unite and take control of our own continent, because a lot of African countries, in fact all African countries, are not in control of their own country. Their countries are being controlled from outside their country, and that is not supposed to be so. We need to unite Africans. We need to unite. We need to overlook this tribalism and politics that we are playing. The better we unite now, the better it is for our forthcoming generation.